On the North Devon coast, where the River Torridge meets the River Tor, is the popular fishing village of Appledore.
Appledore's definitely a hidden gem. You would never know it was there, really.
There just seems to be something about Appledore that keeps bringing you back. There's something special about the place.
Despite its popularity, Appledore doesn't have its own beach, though it is surrounded by some of the best in Britain.
To the south, Westward Ho. To the north, we've got surfing villages, Croyd, Woolacombe, yeah, centre of the universe. I think Woolacombe's now one of the busiest beaches in the country. The way that people use the water in the area is all sorts of water sports, from jet skiing, paddleboarding, fishing, kayaking, cold water swimming. That's become hugely popular now. June, July, August, September, the influx of visitors is colossal. It's like, how on earth does Appledore fit this many people in it, you know?
The peak summer months are also the busiest time for Appledore Lifeboat Station and its lifeboats.
We have all-weather boats, which is a Tamar class. We also have an Atlantic 85, which is our fast response boat. And then we have our D class, which we use as a boarding boat to get out to the Tamar class, but we can also use it to get up the two rivers on a lower tide.
The station also has another useful bit of unofficial kit, courtesy of one of the crew.
Alex, we know, loves his drone. It pops up everywhere when you least expect it. I've been out surfing at the beach, and then all of a sudden there's the drone. He's really, really talented, very, very skilled.
Strangely enough, it was the drone that got me involved in the RNLI. I used to come down to the station every few weeks and film the crew out on exercise, and eventually you get talking to the crew, and they one day asked if you'd fancy having a go being on the shore crew. And 3.5 years later, I'm still here.
Midsummer, clear skies, a perfect Sunday evening after a long, hot day.
On the evening of the shout, I just got home. It was about 9:30. I was just about to sit on the sofa, and then the pager went.
The initial information when we arrived at station was a swimmer in difficulties off of the beach by the slipway in Westward Ho.
When a person's in the water, it's so time critical because you don't know what state they're in. You can only keep him alive in the water for so long, so every second counts. You need to get kitted up, get on that boat, and get out there as quick as you can.
The crew quickly launched their fastest boat, the Atlantic 85, and head to location.
Westward Ho's a couple of miles run for us from Appledore, so it can take a little while to get there. We've got to make our way out through the channel, so depending on the tide will depend on what route we take. It can take us 10 minutes to get out of the river. We were aware that the Coast Guard had put a mayday out. Whenever a mayday goes out, you know that it's a critical situation. Maydays don't go out just for anything. You know that it's something fairly serious.
The mayday is broadcast to anyone in the area who might be able to assist, which in this case includes Alex, listening in on his radio.
I live on the holiday park, which is situated about as close to the sea as you can get. I decided to send up the drone to see if I can find them. The first thing I could see when the drone was in the air was a paddleboarder struggling to get back onto his board. When I got a bit closer, I could see that it was actually two people. One person was holding onto the paddleboard, but the other guy was barely holding on to anything at all.
Josh, a paddleboarder and trainee lifeguard, has spotted the swimmer in trouble from the beach and paddled out to assist.
When I got to him, he did look exhausted. He was lifeless, he was turning blue, he was shivering, even though he was unconscious. He was not in a good way at all. Pulled his face out of the water, his body, as best as I could, trying to keep him elevated. I got the casualty in between my arms, had his head resting on my shoulder upwards, so his face was facing the sky, keeping his airways open. I did see the drone. At first, I was a bit annoyed. I was like, oh, why is someone filming this? Like, instead of filming it, go get help.
As Alex watches on, he spots a boat in the background also responding to the mayday.
I could see this fishing vessel in the distance, so I sent the drone closer to it, just in case it needed guiding into the casualty. You're just hoping that this vessel is going to follow where you're trying to lead them to, because you can't communicate with them.
Alex maneuvers his drone to try and catch the fishing boat's attention and sees it turn towards the paddleboard.
That was quite a relief, seeing that the boat had making a turn and it was heading towards the casualty and starting to slow down.
When it flew over to the boat and it came back, I guess maybe I thought, yeah, they were just trying to help us.
The guy on the back of the boat started to haul the swimmer out of the water, but you could see that he was clearly struggling, that this lifeless guy was clearly quite heavy.
Just as the fisherman managed to lift the casualty out of the water, the lifeboat arrives on scene.
As we came alongside and we saw the casualty for the first time, you could see that he wasn't very well. He was almost in a fetal position, looking fairly unconscious, shaking quite severely. He didn't look very well at all. We knew that we needed a helicopter because potentially we didn't know how sick this guy was.
Fortunately, the earlier mayday alerted the rescue helicopter, which arrives to winch the casualty away to hospital just as they start to lose the light.
I think it was the quickest winch I've ever witnessed. Literally, the helicopter came in, he was on the deck, assessed the casualty, and he was gone again. It was literally that quick.
It's in your mind constantly, is he going to make it? Is he not? He's in the best possible hands, so you'd hope that he is going to make it, but you still don't know.
You hear that people get caught up in tides or they get swept out, and you hear about all these stories, but you don't ever think it's going to be you.
Jack had gone for an evening swim to cool off after one of the hottest days of summer.
It was lovely seeing, like, there was loads of people out. It was very refreshing, very cool. I wasn't really clocking on to how far I was going out, so when I was swimming, after, I don't know what it was, maybe 15, 20 minutes, I sort of turned around and I thought, I'm a little bit far out here.
What Jack hadn't realised was that the tide was now on its way out and he was swimming with the current, a current that would be running against him once he turned back to shore.
So when I decided to try to swim back, it felt like something pushing you back. Normally when you swim out, you can always swim back. And then after a while, after I was really trying, I thought, yeah, okay, I can't. It was the most terrifying thing to feel. I felt like giving up at one point, but I knew for myself I couldn't do that. You know, I've got family. You know, I've got my life to live. I can't just give up. But there was one thought: when you're so tired, you don't want to do anything. You just want to let go, sort of thing. And I did feel like that at one point, which was quite scary thinking about it. I started going under. It was at that point where that guy got very close, and then he sort of like pulled me onto his board, and at that point I just sort of blacked out. I don't remember the lifeboat arriving. I could hear bum, bum, bum noise. The last thing I thought it was a helicopter. They took me straight away to Barnstaple Hospital. Luckily, I was fine. I didn't have any further issues after that, aches and pains and stuff like that. But that's the best outcome I couldn't have hoped for.
I do feel that the paddleboarder was a hero that day. His quick actions saved someone's life.
I did surprise myself with how I reacted. It was a very spur-of-the-moment thing, but I look back at it now and think I'm thankful that that feeling did come and that I did get in the water and help.
A hell of a bloke, a hell of a hero. Go into a situation where it's completely unknown, which he did. You can't ask for more of an honourable thing. Risking your life to get to somebody, you can't put anything on that.
At Appledore, Alex eventually contacted Jack, the swimmer whose rescue he'd filmed on his drone, to ask if he wanted to see the footage.
At first, I couldn't watch it. I didn't know if I wanted to, but I brought myself to watch it, and it just made my heart sink. Because when it's you, you're like, how did that happen? I kept on thinking that how close I could have been to dying. It's by far the biggest life-changing experience in my life. People coming together and doing what they do best to save you, and that is just amazing.